We all wait for that one magical moment, when motivation hits us like lightning, when everything suddenly becomes easy, and we finally do the things we've been putting off. But what if I told you that moment will never come? What if I told you that motivation isn't what starts the journey? It's actually the reward you get after you've started. You've been lied to. The real secret to success isn't some inspirational spark. It's something far simpler and far more powerful. If you've ever felt stuck, lazy, or like you're just not motivated enough to chase your dreams, this book will flip your entire world upside down. Jeff Haden isn't some guru preaching from a mountain. He's a real person who built his success from the ground up, not with giant leaps, but with tiny, consistent steps. Once a ghostwriter for some of the biggest business minds in the world, Jeff eventually became a keynote speaker, LinkedIn influencer, and best-selling author. But he didn't get there because he was motivated. In fact, he says motivation is one of the biggest myths holding people back. Through his work, Jeff has learned that the secret to doing hard things, whether it's getting fit, launching a business, or learning a new skill, lies in something far more practical than willpower. And in this book, he breaks it all down for us. When we imagine successful people, athletes, CEOs, creators, we often think they're driven by some magical, endless supply of motivation. Like they just wake up every day ready to conquer the world. But that's the first lie Jeff Haden wants to destroy. In the motivation myth, he says motivation doesn't create action. Action creates motivation. It's the opposite of what we've been taught. Think about it. Have you ever felt lazy but forced yourself to do just 5 minutes of work? And suddenly you're in the zone. That's what Jeff is talking about. Motivation isn't the spark. It's the fire that comes after you start moving. And that's great news, because it means you don't have to wait to feel ready. You just have to begin. Jeff shares story after story of people who didn't feel motivated at all, but they showed up. Day 1, they were unsure. Day 2, still unsure. But by day 30, they were flying. Why? Because they built momentum. That's the real engine behind success. He tells the story of how he started riding a stationary bike, not because he had a goal or inspiration, but just to see if he could. 10 minutes a day. That's it. Over time, those 10 minutes turned into longer sessions. Then it turned into a habit. Then it became part of his identity. And eventually, he was doing full endurance rides without even realizing how far he'd come. No magical morning, no motivational quote. Just one small step every day. Jeff calls this the process. It's boring. It's simple. But it works like nothing else. And once you understand that, once you accept that the process is the goal, you'll never need motivation again. Because you'll be addicted to the results you're building, little by little. You won't just be chasing motivation, you'll be creating it. Now let's talk about goals. Because this is where most people fall into a hidden trap. We all set big goals, right? Lose 10 kilos. Make 1 lakh per month. Run a marathon. But Jeff Haden says that focusing too much on goals can actually hurt us. Why? Because goals are outcomes. They're in the future. And when we only think about the result, we ignore the most important thing. The system. The process. The daily habits. Jeff says, stop obsessing over the finish line and start falling in love with the steps that get you there. He gives a great example. Let's say you want to write a book. That's the goal. But if you only think about the final product, 300 pages, edited, published, sold, it feels overwhelming. And overwhelming kills action. But what if you just focus on writing 300 words a day? That's 1 page. Do it every day, and in 10 months, you've written a book. No stress, no drama, just progress. Jeff calls this the compound effect of consistency. You don't need big days, you need daily days. He even jokes that goals can become demotivating if we focus too much on them, because we constantly feel like we're falling short. Think about it. If your goal is 6-pack abs, and you don't have them yet, you feel like a failure every day you look in the mirror. But if your focus is, go to the gym for 30 minutes today, you win. That's how people stay on track. Jeff also talks about how high achievers, the ones we admire, don't wait until they feel like doing the work. They schedule it. It's non-negotiable. Just like brushing your teeth or going to work. Motivation doesn't decide their behavior. Behavior creates their motivation. Once you stop worshiping goals and start building routines, you become unstoppable. Because then every small action becomes a victory. You start to trust yourself, and that builds confidence, which builds more action. It's like a snowball rolling downhill. Slowly at first, but soon it becomes massive. Jeff says it clearly. Forget motivation. Build a routine. Stick to it, and let success motivate you, not the other way around. That simple mindset shift changes everything. And it works whether you're building a business, improving your health, learning a skill, or changing your life. Motivation isn't what you need to start. Momentum is what you need to keep going. And the only way to get momentum is to move. One of the most surprising lessons Jeff Haden shares is that success isn't always about passion. It's about progress. We've been told all our lives, follow your passion. But Jeff says, forget passion, build skill, build discipline. Passion doesn't create success. Success creates passion. Think about it. When you start something new, a business, a YouTube channel, a fitness routine, in the beginning, you don't feel passionate. You feel nervous, awkward, uncertain, and that's normal. Passion doesn't magically appear on day one. It grows when you start seeing results, when you feel yourself getting better, when other people start noticing your improvement. That's when passion kicks in. And that's why Jeff says the real secret is to become really good at something, even if you're not passionate about it at first. He gives the example of a man who wanted to start his own business but had no idea what kind. So he just started working on different skills: sales, communication, problem solving, and slowly he became valuable. Eventually, he started a small service business, and even though he wasn't passionate about the industry, he became passionate about winning, about helping clients, about building something of his own. That passion came from progress, not from daydreaming. Jeff explains that waiting for passion is just another form of procrastination. It's like saying, I'll wait till I feel ready. But readiness is a myth. No one ever feels 100% ready. Instead, you have to earn your passion. You have to take action first, and the feeling will follow. And here's the interesting part. Once you start getting good at something, people around you will start to admire your passion. They'll say, wow, you're so passionate about your work. But what they're really seeing is your consistency, your effort, your discipline. That's what creates the fire they call passion. It's not magic. It's earned. He also shares a deep truth. Most successful people you admire, actors, athletes, creators, they didn't start out with a clear passion. They followed curiosity. They worked hard, and they got good. Then they fell in love with what they were doing. Jeff warns that if you only chase what feels exciting, you'll quit the moment it gets boring or difficult. And guess what? Every journey gets boring. Every dream gets hard. That's why the most successful people don't rely on passion. They rely on systems, on habits, on showing up even when it's tough. That's how you separate dreamers from doers. So if you're sitting there thinking, I haven't found my passion yet, don't worry. You don't need to find it. You need to build it. Start with something simple. Show up every day. Improve just a little bit. Over time, that effort will turn into momentum. That momentum will turn into results. And those results, they'll light a fire inside you that no motivational video ever could. That fire, that passion, it'll be yours. Built by you. Earned by you. And no one can take it away. Now let's talk about the biggest reason most people never reach their goals. Expectations. Unrealistic expectations kill more dreams than failure ever could. Jeff Haden dives deep into this in The Motivation Myth. He says one of the most damaging beliefs we carry is thinking success should feel fast, exciting, or magical. But real success? It's often slow, boring, and repetitive. You wake up, do the work, go to bed, and repeat. No fireworks, no applause, just small progress day after day. The problem is, we've been trained by movies, social media, and success stories to believe in overnight success. Someone posts their transformation, and we think, wow, they made it so quickly. But we don't see the 5 years of struggle behind the scenes. Jeff calls this the highlight reel trap, comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. And the moment your progress doesn't match your expectations, you start feeling like a failure, even though you're not. He shares stories of entrepreneurs, athletes, and creators who were stuck in that trap. They expected quick wins. When those didn't come, they gave up, not because they weren't capable, but because their timeline was broken. Jeff's message is clear: manage your expectations. If you expect success to take time, you'll survive the boring days. If you expect results in 2 weeks, you'll quit by day 10. And here's something powerful he says: boredom is a good sign. It means you're doing the work consistently. It means your routine is working. In fact, the people who win long-term aren't the most passionate or talented. They're the ones who keep going when it gets boring. Because success hides behind boredom, behind repetition, behind just one more day. Jeff gives a very real-life example. Someone starts a diet. In week 1, they see fast progress. They lose water weight. They feel good, motivated. But by week 3, progress slows down. The scale stops moving. That excitement fades. Most people quit here. They say, it's not working. But the truth is, it is working. Your body is just adjusting. You're building a new baseline. If you stick with it, week 4 brings results again. But if you give up too early, you never reach that breakthrough. This same pattern happens in business, relationships, fitness, everywhere. Jeff's advice? Stop treating slow progress like failure. Treat it like a sign that you're still in the game. He also encourages people to track their effort, not just their outcome, because the outcome can lie. The scale, the money, the views. But effort? That never lies. If you showed up, you won, even if the results didn't come yet. That mindset builds something stronger than motivation. It builds resilience. And resilience is what makes success inevitable. The more you focus on showing up, not how you feel, not what others are doing, the more power you gain, day by day, quietly, steadily, until one day people call you lucky. But you'll know it wasn't luck. It was consistency. Another powerful lesson Jeff Haden shares in The Motivation Myth is this: you don't need a perfect plan to start. You just need to start. Too many of us wait until we've figured everything out. We overthink. We research endlessly. We tell ourselves, once I know exactly what to do, then I'll begin. But that's just another delay tactic. Jeff calls this the planning trap. It feels productive, but it's actually fear in disguise. You're afraid of failing, so you hide behind preparation. But here's the truth. No matter how perfect your plan is, it will change. Life will surprise you. Things won't go as expected. So instead of waiting for clarity, Jeff says, start with what you know and learn as you go. He gives the example of a guy who wanted to start a side hustle selling handmade furniture. He watched hours of YouTube videos. He read books. He studied competitors. But for 6 months, he never made a single chair. Why? Because he was trying to perfect the idea of success before doing the actual work. Eventually, Jeff told him to just build one chair. Even if it sucked, just make something. Take the first imperfect step. And guess what? The first chair did suck, but the second one was better. And the third one? Even better. Within a few months, he was selling furniture. Not because he had the perfect plan, but because he started. That's the mindset Jeff wants everyone to understand. Action is the best teacher. You can't think your way into success. You have to act your way there. Jeff also breaks down how this applies to big life goals. Want to get fit? Don't wait for the perfect workout plan. Just go for a 15-minute walk today. Want to start a YouTube channel? Don't wait for the best camera and editing software. Use your phone. Upload something. Improve later. Progress doesn't require perfection. It requires motion. And every time you take action, even small action, your confidence grows. That confidence becomes your fuel. It pushes you to do more, to try again, to keep going even when it's hard. And suddenly, you're not just someone with a dream, you're someone doing the dream. He also shares a practical trick. Break everything into tiny, laughably small steps. Not write a book, but write one paragraph today. Not run 5 kilometers, but put on your running shoes. When the task feels too big, your brain gets overwhelmed. But when it feels small and easy, your brain says, "Yeah, I can do that." That's how you build momentum. Not by doing huge things, but by doing something. Jeff calls these starter steps. They're simple, achievable, and most importantly, they get you moving. And once you're moving, everything becomes easier. The people who succeed, Jeff says, are the ones who take imperfect action again and again. They fail, they adjust, they learn, but they never stay stuck. So if you're waiting for the perfect moment, stop, it's not coming. But your first step? That's already here, and it might just change your life. One of the most emotional parts of the motivation myth is when Jeff Haden talks about comparison, the silent killer of joy, progress, and self-belief. In today's world where social media is everywhere, it's become so easy to feel like you're behind. You open Instagram or YouTube, and there's always someone younger, richer, fitter, more successful. You see people posting their wins, their new car, their fit body, their viral video, and you start feeling like your own life is stuck in slow motion. Jeff says this feeling is incredibly dangerous because it distracts you from your own journey. You start judging your daily struggle against someone else's highlight reel, and when you do that, you lose. Every single time. He tells the story of a young woman who wanted to build her own graphic design business. She was good at her craft, talented, hardworking. But every time she saw other designers posting big client projects or luxury vacations, she'd shrink. She'd feel like she wasn't doing enough, fast enough. One day, she told Jeff, "Maybe I'm just not meant for this." And that's when Jeff told her something powerful. "You're not playing the same game, so stop comparing scores. You don't know that person's story. Maybe they've been at it for 10 years. Maybe they had help. Maybe they're lying. You only see the result, not the process. And your process? It's unique. It's yours. And it's worth fighting for." Jeff explains that the only comparison worth making is you versus you. Are you better than you were yesterday? Did you show up today when you didn't feel like it? Did you keep your promise to yourself, even when no one was watching? That's real progress. That's the win. Not likes, not followers, not fame, but integrity, consistency, growth. He also warns that constant comparison drains your motivation, because no matter how well you're doing, you'll always find someone doing better. It becomes a never-ending race. And worst of all, it steals the joy of your own achievements. You finally reach a goal. Maybe your first sale, your first subscriber, your first 5K run. And instead of feeling proud, you look at someone else's numbers and feel like it's not enough. Jeff says, stop. Celebrate your small wins. They matter more than you think. He introduces a concept called motivational islands. These are moments when you've hit a small goal, like going to the gym for 30 days straight or completing your first freelance project. Jeff says to pause, enjoy that moment, and let it motivate you. Because if you don't stop to feel proud, you'll always feel empty. It's like climbing a mountain and never looking back at how far you've come. That's how burnout happens. Not from doing too much, but from feeling like what you're doing doesn't matter. But it does matter. Every small step, every quiet victory, every time you don't quit, it adds up. So the next time you feel like you're falling behind, remember this: you're not behind. You're just on your own path. And your path doesn't need to look like anyone else's. It just needs to keep moving forward. One step, one win, one day at a time. In the final message of The Motivation Myth, Jeff Haden delivers something that feels like a warm but powerful wake-up call. You don't need to be extraordinary to build an extraordinary life. You don't need to be the smartest, the richest, or the most talented. You just need to be consistent. That's it. It sounds simple, maybe even boring, but Jeff shows that this is actually the most empowering idea of all. Because it means success is not reserved for the lucky few. It's available to anyone willing to show up day after day and do the work. And that includes you. Yes, you. With all your doubts, fears, flaws, and excuses. You can build the life you want, not by waiting to feel motivated, but by becoming the kind of person who acts even without it. Jeff calls this the identity shift. It's the point where you stop saying, "I want to be successful," and you start saying, "I'm the kind of person who follows through." That mindset, that identity, is what changes everything. You're no longer depending on feelings. You're depending on your habits. And when you consistently act like the person you want to become, eventually you become that person. Slowly at first, then all at once. That's the magic of the process. Not a burst of motivation, not a miracle, but a quiet transformation happening inside you, one small decision at a time. Jeff also reminds us that you won't always see the results right away. Some days, it will feel like nothing is happening. No progress, no praise, no big wins. But those are the days that matter the most. Because those are the days most people quit. And if you keep going, you're already winning. You're separating yourself from the crowd. You're proving to yourself that you can do hard things. And that proof builds confidence like nothing else. Confidence doesn't come from compliments. It comes from evidence. And that evidence is built through action. The more you show up, the more proof you collect that you're not lazy, not weak, not a failure. You're a builder, a finisher, a doer. And yes, there will be failures. There will be setbacks, delays, and disappointments. But Jeff says that's all part of the game. In fact, the people who succeed are not the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who get used to it, who keep going anyway, who learn from it instead of running from it. Every mistake teaches you something. Every wrong turn makes your map more accurate. And over time, all those lessons become your secret weapon. Not motivation, not passion, but resilience built through repetition. So if you're listening to this and thinking, maybe I can do it too, Jeff Haden would say, yes, you can. But only if you start. Stop waiting. Stop hoping. Just do something today. Take one small step. Then do it again tomorrow. And again the day after. Don't chase motivation. Create it. Through action. Through effort. Through the unstoppable power of consistency. That's the real secret. That's the truth no one tells you. And once you understand that, you'll never need motivation again. Because you'll have something stronger. You'll have momentum.